I was out at a bar on Friday night, and I was listening to this musical group, you know, a bunch of sinners, the type who play in bars, and they were pretty good. I'm not ashamed to admit it, I had a good time. But then I looked around at the crowd. Again, a bunch of sinners. And I thought, I think I know that guy over there. And lo and behold, it was somebody from this church. And then he had a couple of friends around him, and one of them I think was his wife. And I thought, and I go, oh no, they might see me. And then I thought, but wait, I see them. What's the difference? And then I looked across the table, the people that I was meeting at the bar, and I realized, oh, for God's sake, these people go to the church too.
Yeah.
And we're all out at this bar on purpose, listening to this heathen rock group, and having a pretty good time. I myself had chicken wings of the boneless variety. I don't like to do a lot of work. So I had boneless chicken wings, and it was great. I'm kind of on a diet, you can't tell. But I'm on a diet. But Friday nights, no diet. So I had chicken wings. And I went with people from this church to listen to this heathen rock group. And they played, what did they play? A bunch of stuff from the 60s. I could have sworn I heard the Beatles. I mean, they're out there. And then, and we talked about life and what was going on, and it was a great night. And by the time I got home, I felt spiritually uplifted. Did I mention that the heathen rock group, stand up, you know, this guy. And I thought to myself, he's a wonderful singer, we got to include him more. And the other thought I had is, if only you could have been there, because it was a spiritual experience. It was uplifting. It was building up. It really was something great. And then that got me thinking. Okay, so I'm wearing a jacket and a white t-shirt. See how it's black? And then it's white. And then I looked at this and I thought, well, that's black. And that's white. And what's the difference? Really? What's the difference? You tell me. Because as soon as I walked out here, some of you puckered up immediately. I know you did, because I could hear it. But what's different? It's black and white. This is black and white.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
And yet, it didn't sit well with some of you. But I'm just going to leave this here. Man, it just close. Look around at the people sitting here today. Does it feel a little bit different? Does it feel different than it did a week ago? Why? More people. Yeah. Room is full. Okay, so let's say we had a room that was half this size. Okay, then last week would have been fine. But we have a room this big. And on a typical Sunday, 8:30 and 11 o'clock services are about half the number of people showing up, right? I mean, right? Give or take? Yeah. And so then when we have a combined service at 10 o'clock, it looks like this, and it feels like this. And when we sing a hymn, doesn't it seem a little bit better?
Yeah.
Yeah. Aren't you just a little bit happier to be here? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we have two choices. We can either go to one service at 10 o'clock all the time, and that's reasonable. Maybe we should. Think about that. You have a meeting coming up, you can decide to do that. Or each of you could get off your butt and you could invite one person to come with you to church. And then we could fill both services. And they could feel like this. Amen. I wanted to go to the Rock Creek Kitchen to hear Rob Winwood and his band. And I know they call it something else, but that's not what I call it. I call it Rob Winwood and his band. I wanted to go there and hear them. Because I like Rob, in spite of his political leanings. I like Rob. And I love his voice, I love his music, and honestly, I love him. I wanted to be there. It was going to be a good experience. And also, I know the Rock Creek Kitchen has good chicken wings. Don't we have something good here? Mm-hmm. Don't you want to invite people here? Maybe you don't. It's very possible you don't. Maybe you're a little bit embarrassed about what goes on here. That's possible. Okay, let's talk about it. What do we have to do to make this the kind of place that you would like to invite people to attend? Because that is what we should be doing. Think about it. Today, I want to talk about this, forgiveness. Can everybody see it? It's okay, it doesn't matter. You can't see. Okay, go. This stuff. Everyone's been hurt by someone, right? You've been hurt by someone, haven't you? Would you like me to hurt you? No. Okay, you've been hurt by someone. It's happened. Nobody gets through life without being taken advantage of somewhere, somehow. You've all been betrayed. You know what that feels like. And some of the hurts are very big hurts. I mean, somebody, maybe they cheated on you at some point. You ever have that happen? I did. 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. So many times I've lost track. Maybe somebody stole something from you. Did you ever have that happen? I have. Maybe somebody fired you. Did you ever have that happen? Perhaps you recognize this guy. He was on a reality TV show called The Apprentice, and occasionally he would fire people. I think that's his most famous gig. And sometimes the hurts are really little hurts, right? Like somebody said, hey, it looks like you're gaining weight. My daughter is famous for this. We were walking through the pizza aisle. That's significant. We were walking through the pizza aisle at the Giant Eagle. And she pointed at my tummy and she said, are you sure you really want to do this? True story. Happened yesterday. And I bought the pizza and ate it. Or maybe some of you had this experience this morning. You sure you want to wear that? Probably it was the men and their wives looking at them saying, oh no, change that. Or maybe it's something like this. Are you sure you want to do it that way? Really? Like that? What kind of hurts do you have? I know some of them. But think about it for a minute. What kind of hurts do you have right now? What's on your mind this morning? What's in your heart this morning? Sometimes the hurts stick with us. I mean, they just, a big hit can knock you right out of the game. It can end your career. Your knees might never feel the same again. But what we don't usually talk about is the little hurts and how the little hurts can stick with us too. I mean, they're just so little, and we think that we have to be bigger than that. Swift say? Why can't I just shake that off? Right? Sometimes we hear that kind of stuff from other people. Well, what's the big deal? I was only joking. I was just kidding around. Can't you take a joke? And sometimes, this stuff comes from well-meaning friends. That's just ridiculous. Shake it off. Let it go. But you can't. You can't. And maybe just one little paper cut is not a big deal. Maybe not. But what happens when you've had 10 of them? Or 100 of them? Or 1,000 of them? You start to feel it then. Can a person die from 1,000 paper cuts? I think they can. So the hurt, it stays with you for a day, or for a week, or maybe it's for a decade. And before you know it, it defines you. It's who you are. You get hurt, and then the hurt shapes you. Have your hurts shaped who you are today? Have they? One response to our hurts is to get revenge. We try to get back at those people. We want to pay them back for what they did to us. Sometimes we really go after them. This is a picture of my heritage. I'm Italian. If you just pan over a little to the left, I'm sitting at the other table. We want to take an active revenge. You know this is from The Godfather, right? Yeah, okay. But other times our revenge is a lot more passive, a lot more laid back. We hold back. We just don't do our best. We don't give our best effort. I bent over backwards for them the last time, and they didn't appreciate it, so why should I try anymore? I'm just going to lay back. I'm not going to give my best. Have you ever gotten revenge? Have you ever been successful? Like, you've done it. You've got revenge. How did you feel after? There's this ancient Jewish rabbi. His name is Paul. Perhaps you've heard of him. We named the church after him. And Paul talks about revenge a little bit in this letter he wrote to the Romans. And he says, hey friends, beloved, don't avenge yourselves. Don't do it. Just leave it to God. Leave it to God. It's written, vengeance is mine. I'll repay. Very wise proverb says this. It says, the eyes of the Lord are in every place, keeping watch on the good and the evil. Do you believe that? Do you trust that everything will work out in the end? Or are you still trying to control other people to produce a particular outcome? You can respond to the people that hurt you by taking revenge. You can. But the truth is, most of the time, you can't actually do that. And even when you can take revenge on somebody, it only ends up hurting you more. Jesus said this. He said, don't judge. Don't judge and you won't be judged. Don't condemn and you won't be condemned. Just forgive and you'll be forgiven. Could that be because because he knew that when we don't forgive, when we hold a grudge, when we set our hearts on revenge, that we end up hurting ourselves the most. Could that be why he said it? Holding on to the pain, trying to get revenge. That's one possible response, and it's going to hurt us. But there is another response to your hurts. There is. You can forgive. Before I talk about what forgiveness is, I want to make clear what forgiveness is not. You do not need to be someone's punching bag. You don't. That is not what forgiveness is about. There's a wise saying. It goes like this. A fool who repeats his folly is like a dog that returns to his vomit. Aren't you glad I didn't give a picture with that one? Some people are like dogs that return to their puke. And you don't need to stick around for that. You know, the people who are just never going to get better. The people who are going to hurt you again and again and again and again, and no matter what you do, that's how they are. Want to know one of the easiest ways to spot these kind of people? They have already hurt you over and over and over and over. Let me tell you, you do not need to let them do it again. And if you are in this position, here, get out. Leave. But he's my husband. I don't care. Leave. But divorce, it's against the rules. That's not what the church says. Divorce is wrong, and it's a sin. Bull crap! He's punching you in the face. You have to leave. There's no sin in leaving an abuser. You get that, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You can leave. In fact, you absolutely should not let them do that again. You have to protect yourself from the destruction that toxic people bring with them wherever they go. In fact, if you don't protect yourself from toxic people, do you know what you're being? Selfish. If you allow toxic people free reign in your life, then you will eventually find yourself depleted and depressed. And when you are depleted and depressed, guess what you can't do? You can't fulfill your responsibilities to the people who are truly counting on you. You may not even be able to take proper care of yourself. Letting people walk all over you is not the same as forgiving them. It's not. And it sure doesn't make you a saint. I think it makes you selfish. Let me put it like this for you. When you spend all of your energy on this angry, cruel, mean, selfish, critical jerk who shows no signs of goodwill, none at all, no signs of actually caring for you, you do not have any energy left for these people. Your family, your friends, the clubs that you're a part of, your work colleagues, just strangers. Don't these people matter to you too? I hope so. It is okay to say to toxic people, look, because I have said yes to my family and to my friends and to my clubs and to my colleagues and even to strangers, I've got to say no to you. It's okay to do that. There is nothing noble about shirking your responsibilities to everyone in order to cater to the irrational demands of this guy. If you haven't met him, stick around for a minute, because we're going to have a congregational meeting in about a half an hour. And it is likely that he will show up. You can say no. You can unfriend. You can hit the block button. You can step away. You're allowed to do that. In fact, I would encourage you to do that. You can forgive and then forget. You've heard that from the pulpit before. You have to forgive and forget. Great! Some people are worth forgetting. Forget them. Especially if they have no intention of changing ever. Can you see why sometimes you just need to let people go? Can you forgive somebody without having to be around them? Thanksgiving is coming up. Do you have to let people like that in your life? Okay, so what is forgiveness? What is it? What is it? We know what it's not. What is it? When you forgive, you are deciding that you're not going to try to pay them back for what they did. You're just not going to do that. You don't try to pay them back. You don't try to get them back. You don't seek revenge. You just let them off the hook. You release them. You let them go. No strings attached. You simply accept the pain. They hurt you. It affected you. It tore you down. And you just say, okay, I accept that. You accept that loss. You set them free. Forgiveness doesn't mean that nothing happened. I mean, that guy, that gal, they hurt you. They did. Forgiveness means that something definitely happened. You have to admit that to yourself. Let that in. Say it out loud if you have to. I mean, that person hurt me. What they did was wrong, and I am angry about it. You have to name it, even if only for yourself. They might never admit what they did, but you need to name it. It was wrong, it was hurtful, they hurt me, and I don't want them to do that again. But then after that, you choose to lay it down. You set it to rest. Some of you might need to say this out loud today. Do it. It is worth it. I will give you some practice. Here it is. Try it. Try it with me now. What you did was wrong, and it hurt me. But I'm not going to make you pay. I'm not going to hold it against you. I forgive you. I don't want to kid you about this. I don't want to make this, I don't want to pretend that this is easy. Because forgiving is not easy. Forgiving is one of the hardest things that you will ever do. It costs. And it hurts. When they hurt you so bad and all you wanted to do was pay them back, forgiving can feel like dying. It can feel like, like this. Maybe that's why we have this thing here. side of death is a new life. When you forgive someone, you say, the pain stops here. Usually the way that things go is this. Somebody hurts you, and then you want to hurt them back. Did everybody see the Browns game on Thursday? I did. The guy comes in, and he hits the quarterback late. You saw that, right? He hit him late. I'm a Browns fan, but let's be honest. He hit him real late. Drove the quarterback right into the ground. I thought he wanted to drive him 6 feet under. And the quarterback naturally got upset. So what did he do? He started a little scuffle. And then what did the Browns guy do? Took the quarterback's helmet off and tried to bash him to death with it. Hey, but we won. And yet it felt like a loss, didn't it? Yeah, sure it did. Someone hurts you, you hurt them back, and on it goes, and everything gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And at the end of the day, your guy gets suspended for the rest of the season. Worth it? No, jerk. But when you say, I forgive you, and I'm going to get you next play, fair and square, then everything stops right there. You take all of that pain and the yellow flags and the suspensions, you take that out of circulation. When you can forgive someone, you can leave behind your own bitterness and vengeance and anger. And that's a good thing. I mean, it might feel good to hold on to your rage for a moment. Maybe it feels good. Like, they hurt you, and I'm angry, and I'm going to get back at them. But who is that anger really helping? Myles Garrett, right? How did it help him? How's he going to play next week? He ain't going to play next week. Do you know that, right? How's he going to play the week after that? He's not going to play that week either. He's not going to play the rest of the season. We're in Berea. I hope they can hear us. What are you doing, guy? It is only hurting you to hold that grudge. It is only hurting your team. But when you forgive, if that guy would have just walked to the sideline and talked to the coach about how upset he was, wouldn't it have been better?
Yep.
When you forgive, you stop hurting yourself. If an anchor is tied to your leg and you are thrown into the sea, the only way that you can avoid drowning is to cut that anchor loose. Now, in that kind of scenario, nobody has any trouble seeing that the best way forward is to set the anchor free. But when the anchor is someone else who has wronged us, and cutting the anchor loose means forgiving them, all of a sudden we rationalize how holding on to the anchor is somehow in our best interests. But it isn't. Forgive them. Please. I know that setting them free seems like you are giving up something valuable, but you're not. You're not. They have already taken what they could from you when they hurt you. There's no sense holding on to the anchor any further. There's no sense being dragged down to the bottom of the ocean. Cut them loose and free yourself. Jesus put it like this. Let me see, because I worked real hard to get this quotation exactly right. If you don't forgive your brother, God won't forgive you. How close was that? 100%. This has nothing to do with an old man in the sky holding a grudge against you because sometimes you hold a grudge. Not what it's about. It has to do with the very nature of forgiveness itself. When you don't forgive, you only hurt you. Not forgiving is like swimming in the ocean and holding on to an anchor. But when you forgive, you're free from keeping score. You're free from holding a grudge. You're free from holding back. You're free from seeking revenge. And you're just free from being angry. How many of you like to be around angry people?
Yeah.
This guy in the back, he's like, oh yeah. Nobody likes to be around an angry person all the time. Don't be that guy. Forgive them and set yourself free. Be free to love. People who've been genuinely wronged and who also have genuinely forgiven, these are extraordinary people when you meet them. Wait a minute. Your wife ran off with the mailman and took your kids, and somehow you've let it go? You must be some kind of saint. Ever met somebody like that? They're a different breed. They're a different person. It's almost like they've risen from the dead. Let me tell you, people can tell. They can see that. When you forgive, when you live a life of genuine forgiveness, people can see it, and they can feel it. It comes out in the words that you say. It comes out in the work that you do. It just oozes out of your pores. So I have a question. Does forgiveness make a little bit more sense now? Does it seem like, yeah, I get it. I think forgiveness might be the thing to do. I can see some of you are still questioning. Let me try one last time. Somebody hurt you. I mean, they did something dastardly to you, like they took off your helmet, tried to bash you over the head with it. And you sit at home just thinking, oh, those sons of guns, I hate them so much. And you stay up all night long, right? It's 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. You can't even fall asleep. And then the next day when you wake up and you have to go to practice, you're not able to practice because you're so tired from the night before. And you go out on the field the next Sunday and you lose 100-0. But you were so, and let's hope that happens. But you were just so angry at them. And you held that grudge in your heart. Who did it hurt? I mean, they're sleeping quietly in their bed. And you're up all night, angry. Who did it hurt? You. But if you forgive them, then you can get to bed. Are there people that you need to forgive today? Are there? Probably. I'm guessing there are. Is there someone you need to forgive? If there is, here's what I want you to do. I want you to take a piece of paper, a small one, please make it small. Tear up the bulletin. Won't that be fun? Tear up the bulletin. And in pencil, or pen if you got it there, but I think there's pencils on each pew. Just write their name. Or maybe you don't want to write their name, make up a name. Because you're afraid somebody will see it. But write their name. Write it down. And then, When you come up here for communion, the place of forgiveness, where the body and blood of Jesus are given to you, and you pass by this ocean, I want you to throw it into it. I want you to take that guy's name, Fred, right? Fred? Or maybe it's Sally. And I want you to throw it right in here. And you know what happens when you write a name on a piece of paper and you throw it in the water, right? The ink runs. The pencil runs. It disappears. I want you to take that person's name and throw it into the bowl of water. I want you to dump it into the ocean. I want you to cut the anchor loose. Let it go. Don't look back in anger.